Hey beauties, a pleasant Sunday morning to you. If you have not yet surrendered your hearts, your minds, and your souls to Jesus Christ, please feel free to do so. He's the best being ever. Certainly that would be the best decision you could ever make. You know, beautiful people, I don't want to say a bone of contention. I think that's a very strong terminology to use in this case, but it would want to almost, in many cases, feel like what I'm about to talk about for many people in the lives of many people. And it is a subject, how is it that the wicked prospers? It is a question, but it's really a statement, because it is something that many people cannot seem to comprehend. I am flabbergasted and discombobulated even in terms of really processing and comprehending how is it that the wicked prospers. You know, when we look at in the book of Psalm 73 with David, and I'm going to just paraphrase from about Psalm 73 from about verses 3 to 16, and listen to what David is basically, griping about. Say, I was envious of the foolish, but not in a malicious way. I don't want you to think that he was talking of his envy in a malicious way, as though he's going to do them evil, repay them evil for evil. But he was saying, God, he's basically said, I cannot really come to terms. I'm puzzled with the fact that the people who are doing things that are rebellious against your precepts and your standards, they are doing well financially, sometimes even physically, seemingly, mentally, emotionally, all the alleys that you can think of, they are prospering. Notice I'm not using the word blessed. If no matter what they do, it thrives, it does well, especially in the area of finance. And the ones who are doing good, it's a flip side that is happening to them. It is as though they're the fig tree that has been cursed out of a thing, and no matter what they put their hands to, it fails. They're not doing well, and yet they're walking the straight and the narrow. But David said in verse 17 of chapter 73 in the book of Psalm, but when I came into your sanctuary, and it's like his mind became illuminated by God. It's like an epiphany, like the light bulb was on, it turned on. And I saw that their way was dark and slippery, and sudden destruction came upon them through terror, and they were no more. So they died suddenly. Poof, that's it. And they were no more through terror. So it is telling a story that, and before I even go into it, is telling a story. Jeremiah had the same issue, After the book of Isaiah, comes Jeremiah, the very first chapter that talks about God and his righteousness. And Jeremiah said, God, I have a little, bone of contention. I have a complaint because something must be wrong with me, dear Lord. Me nah fathom what's happening here. Like his predecessor David, he's saying, God, you have the people who are righteous. And no matter what they do, is as though they're being rewarded evil for good, hate for love. I'm seeing the wicked prospering. It's like everything that they put their hands to thrives. It is doing well in every area, especially, as I said, maybe more than likely in the area of finance. Whatever it is that they want to accomplish, they accomplish it. And I cannot fathom it, God. It doesn't seem to be in tandem with the God that I know you are. You're a God of fairness. You're a God of justice. How is it that the wicked is prospering, God? It bothers me. It bothers me. And remember now that these two men are real solid men of God. Remember that David was considered a man after God's own heart. And I've often said, God, maybe it's a good thing that David did what he did as it relates to Bathsheba and her former husband. Because outside of that, yes, the whole census thing, but leave that aside. That was more of a foolish move, although a lot of lives were lost because David didn't listen, but he got tricked by the enemy. But if he didn't do that, it would not show his imperfection so much as a man of God. Because outside of that two situation, the adultery and the murder, it's like David would almost be a perfect man. So out of evil, comes good. So in a way, maybe it's a good thing. It happens. But I'm saying that to say, but David comes now. So I'm likening Jeremiah with David, although Jeremiah would be the the descendant, sort of, not necessarily descendant of David, I'm talking about after David would have been here. And, Jeremiah, alongside David, really, they didn't understand until they came into the presence of God, until God illuminated their minds. And I'm not using that word like how some of these New Age people using it. I'm talking about He enlightened them. It's like, oh my God, I suddenly got it. Now I understand. They say, in all thy getting, get understanding. And David said, Lord, until when I came into your presence in your sanctuary, then you revealed to me, I'm paraphrasing for you to understand, that the wicked just get cut down suddenly. Remember, like what Proverbs chapter 6 talks about, the people who consistently and practices evil, that one day sudden destruction comes upon them to the point of no return. So for example, when they get sick, it deteriorates, they get worse and worse, and they die badly, and their memory is cut off. It's the same thing that is happening. So my beautiful people, I want you to understand that it may look as if these people who are wicked are doing well. They're the ones getting the promotion. Please note, understand that the devil is considered the prince of the power of this air. Satan did not lose his power. It only became corrupt. He did not lose his wisdom. It only became corrupt. There are certain powers and privileges that he had when he was in heaven with God. Right? So he still has certain powers. Remember that a third of the angels came with him. So there are certain, you notice people who gossip and slander, they're the ones who get promoted. That is why the term, your attitude determines your altitude. I know they meant it the other way around, that if you have a good attitude, you will prosper in life eventually. But in terms of right away, not necessarily so. The ones who carry news, the ones who suck up to people, those are the ones who get the promotion. They get people, lauding and praising them and all of that. And the ones who go by the book, I'm not talking about being disrespectful or trying to, ostracize people. I'm talking about living a right life, a righteous way, as best as possible, because no one is perfect. They're shafted, they're pushed aside, they're never promoted. David said, God, when I came in the sanctuary, you illuminated my mind, basically. And then I realized, in short order, they just suddenly destroyed, were stripped of everything, taken down, and destroyed completely, utterly. And it's like their memories wiped out. And he said, oh my God. So it's like the fig tree. The fig tree, it's sort of a situation, although it didn't bear fruit, it was alive and well. And probably people thought eventually things would have just looked good, I remember in the book of Jeremiah said, look like they're even producing fruit. They look like they're doing good. They look like, oh my God, you're wondering, is God really blessing unrighteousness? Is God blessing evil? Is God blessing wickedness? No. Please note that there is an adversary. There is an adversary. He promotes his people. He will give people, remember, he controls, and in terms of being the CEO of the world system. So he will get his people in places of positions and authority. And we see this, across the globe in terms of the things that are against God that seem to be prospering. But God says, when you come into that sanctuary and God illuminates your mind, He opens your eyes, the eyes of your understanding and wisdom and knowledge. You realize, oh my God, you're suddenly cut down in a heinous manner through terror. That's what the Amplified Version said, through terror. So say them go through a beating before they're cut off completely from this earth. So really, that is why David said, I was really foolish to be envious. Not in a malicious way he was talking, but he wasn't feeling good for them, seeing them prosper. He wasn't necessarily wishing them bad, but he also necessarily wasn't feeling good for them because he knew, as Jeremiah says, their lips seem close to you. The Jeremiah chapter 12, verse 1 or verse 2. Their lips seem close to you, but their hearts are far from you. Remember what Jesus says? Their hearts are like graves, like tombstones, whitewashed sepulchres, seemingly close. They look good, form of godliness, but deny the power, deny the Holy Spirit, deny Christ Himself thereof. So don't be envious, as hard as it may be. Don't be jealous, don't be envious. Just wait and see the salvation of God. You know what to do for your TikTok and YouTube. Have a fantastic